Today's one of those days where you're just awash with riches. You have a fantastic winner's bracket final, and you think, oh, that's a good amount of Overwatch for today. And it's like, no, there's still more Overwatch left to go. ZP here with Jake. And Jake, now we head into the lower bracket semifinal, where it's going to be the Justice taking on the Mayhem. And the Justice, to say they've been a hot team would be an understatement.
Yeah, I mean, the turnaround that this team has experienced in playoffs, bringing in a superstar like Decay to be a major internal leader clearly for the team, building, it looks like he's built up everyone else's confidence. Players like Stitch, Tuba have played out of their minds since he's joined the roster.
And you take a look at the losers bracket, there's just been a path of chaos and carnage carved here by the Justice, just taking down favorites left, right, and center. One of the most notable teams the Justice took down, of course, would be the Paris Eternal, the number 3 seed, and they're gone. And part of it is that they ran into the wrecking ball that is a Justice just powered up by their late addition of Decay.
Yeah, so the Justice, they've beaten very tough opponents that nobody thought they would prevail against. Now they find themselves up against the Mayhem. I think if there's any advantage for the Mayhem is that now there's so much tape on the Justice. Like, what they're going to play. I don't see the Justice changing anything, especially with Decay in the tank line. Limited flexibility means this is the comp they need to win with, this Roadhog Zarya. And while a lot of teams thought it was a gimmick, thought it wouldn't work out at the highest level, teams like Shock and Philly elect to usually only touch it for very rare scenarios. This is a team that has made it work all the way through playoffs up to this point, and they have taken a very long journey with it, so they're well experienced.
Yeah. Well, you look at the Justice highlights we're seeing right now, and look, I don't think the Justice are going to be winning any awards for most subtle or most strategically clever team right now. No, they essentially have one bread and butter strategy, and they're playing it really, really well. And to use an old baseball analogy that 5% of the audience will get, right now they're the Mariano Rivera of the Overwatch League postseason, where you know exactly what pitch they're going to throw. The problem is, can you hit it? And the answer right now for most teams is no, they can't.
Yeah, for sure. Exactly what you said, ZP. Sports yep. And balls, I know about those. But what I know a little bit more about, Overwatch, I'm excited to see if Stitch in particular can keep up this masterclass he's been putting on in the playoffs. I mean, to be honest, I was worried about this team. I felt like Stitch, he wasn't having a great performance really, when he just joined the roster. But now with the K Online, this new aggressive style the team is playing, Stitch looks like a different player. I mean, he's popping off. We've seen those moments of greatness from him before, but I think a lot of people had written him off in the Overwatch League from his early performances. Now I think he's really showing why he had that name to come in to begin with, why people have that confidence in him. He's really putting out here for the Justice. I think it's really critical.
And, of course, you take a look at Florida. I mean, Florida's bread and butter here, when you look at their last matchup, they're just super well coordinated, right? And I think the linchpin here, more than anything else, you have to look to Yaki and the Sombra gameplay, right? Where this is matchup 2 could very well be just kind of a litmus test of, all right, Roadhog Zarya versus Sombra Reaper, which is actually better right now. There's a big divide in the Overwatch League in the postseason as to what is stronger, and Washington, they've really been making the case for the Hog Zarya, but the coordination that Mayhem showed yesterday was really, really good.
And I think strategically, there's different ways to approach this Hog Zarya style. My guess was that we would see more teams playing, rather than Reaper, playing the Tracer Sombra. Because in this current patch we're playing, Roadhog still one-shots a Reaper, after a hook. So how much does Reaper really win that matchup? I'm not sure. I think a Tracer, instead of focusing Roadhog, gives you more utility, from players like Yaki and BQB to pressure the backline critically, to upset players like AimGod and Stitch, who are otherwise going to be doing a ton of work from the backline. I think that has to be your real focus, because Decay and Janu, they're so great at shirking that pressure and coming out even stronger, finding a hook on Roadhog, being high energy on Zarya after you initiate on him. So I think it can be a bit of a fool's gold to go for those tanks.
You look at the Florida starting lineup, we've talked a lot about Yaki, but BQB also a really big part here, where you're going to be running things like Reaper. You need consistent production out of the Reaper. You can't be falling early. You have to pick and choose your moments, and when you're up against what the Justice are likely to be running, I mean, you can't make mistakes, you can't get hooked. So a lot really going to be resting on BQB's ability to stay alive and find maximum value, on top of course, the support of the tanks and the supports.
Yeah, and this first map, I like to pick from Florida Mayhem here, because this is a map that's going to be, I think, pretty awkward to play the Hog Zarya on. I think could be effective on Ruins. It's a very linear map. But the other two maps are very open, a lot of high ground to work with. So getting flanked is kind of the worst case scenario when you're playing this Roadhog Zarya comp. You want to be able to fight, you know, straight up in a choke point, in a hallway, that type of engagement. The moment that the game gets more complicated than that and players start to flank you and take map control is the really difficult moment, I think, for the Justice. Right now they're showing a Rhine, though, so maybe they actually agree in this case on this map and are going to change it up.
Well, the interesting thing here apparently is that the Justice haven't even won this map this season, so you know, what better time than now, I suppose. It is a different meta, it's a different age, but you go by map stats for what use they can be. You'd think Mayhem have a bit of an edge here, but Jake, I gotta tell you, I'm gonna be looking at Yaki's setups here as they try and deal with this brute force approach coming in from the Justice.
Yeah, and first high ground push from Justice. I like this play. It's going to be really hard for Reaper and Sombra to get on top. I guess not really. BKB just TPing in, going straight for the Ashe. Early raid. Can he get a kill here, though?
Well, he's able to get away, and it's the big distraction. Gargoyle came in from the other side, took down Stitch. Here's the problem. Decay's still alive. Decay, the raid boss of the Justice. Nothing really matters until you get Decay out of the fight. But with Tuba falling a little bit later, Janu gone, there is a limit to what a god can do.
Yeah, I think Florida played that fight exactly as they needed to play, stacking on top of each other. Yaki, though, gets punished, trying to take a farming phase here. It's going to be a pretty big cut down, allow Tuba to catch up in the EMP duel. Definitely going to slow you down, but you need to contest point for Justice. That's hard.
Yeah, Decay super low in the Mayhem. They get rid of the problem with authority. The problem is that the res still could be coming in play. They get 2 down, so you trade out 2 people to take down Decay. Decay gets res back up. It's not ideal, and now John, who's just whole hogging onto the point as a Justice, I mean, rather casually here, likely about to get control.
Yeah, there's going to be some more touching from Florida. I think they do want to get the reset, though. Most of all, lucky to escape from Janu's hook there. That would have been a really painful stagger if it came through, so that's exactly what you need, but now you're in a rougher spot because now, I mean, Stitch, he's got this ideal high ground. Like, he wouldn't want to be anywhere else in the map. This is where it's really hard for Reaper, Sombra. I mean, even Winston, when you're this high up on the Lighthouse on Ashe, you can just be uncontested in a lot of fights. And, I mean, just dropping a bomb anywhere on the map you want to put it. Stitch, he doesn't even have to move. He just only aim and shoot.
No.
And nice try,
like, the high ground is mine. If
FaZe
goes, no, this is my
he doesn't have a coach gun.
Get out of here! Go! The Stitch just gets knocked into the pit. Or the endless pit, I should say. Still, a really nice engage. The problem is Fake gets hooked. Fake gets just slammed by Janu, and the Justice are still in a good spot, Jake.
Oh, and it has to be a reset. That's painful after Fake made that great opener. Janu just strikes right back, getting 2 kills. His Roadhog, I think, has been a really underestimated part of this composition and their success. I think this composition puts a ton of mechanical pressure on Roadhog. If you just miss a hook at the start of the fight, you're probably just losing. You're probably just dying. You need to, it's kill or be killed for Roadhog. You need to kill off those threats like the Reaper, like the Sombra, so that they can't finish you off. They can't pressure your Ana.
But Janu gets away with it. He gets another hook to start things out, gets Gargoyle demacked, and you know, all your logic is sound, but when you get to the idea of like, yeah, Janu just has to miss a hook, it's not happening very often. And it's almost an under-celebrated part of just how good the Justice has been playing this composition. Now 75-30.
Yeah, Janu has been one of my favorite players to watch for a long time. Here we can see a replay from Imgod contributing. Oh, I didn't even notice this. A ridiculous EMP cancel there. And that's, I mean, that's a ridiculous swing. That's why Florida wanted that initiation. Now they just beat down mid, though. This is a great push. A lot of pressure on the Janu. Can they finish off this? Oh, he's so low. Yeah, they finally do.
But the problem is, can they secure and defend against the Resurrection at the same time? Janu hasn't gone back up yet, but now. All right, so we get it. BKB, though, into the back, seizes the opportunity, gets booped back while trying to spin the win. Mayhem now fades, can't get away as Stitch. Shot after shot, backed up by Decay.
BQB with 2.
Justice, take control again.
BQB, he's still alive, but Decay, the real carry late game, does get cut down. Yaki and BQB, they've been so scrappy this fight. No tanks left alive, but they're holding on, and those backline pickoffs from the Reaper were everything. And, I mean, even that Death Blossom from BQB, yes, it got countered, but he put out so much damage, it really slowed down the Justice. So they were able to get their Nano out, but it was pure defensive. They couldn't really force point with the Nano itself. So somehow, Florida come out in the end. Looked like that was going to be round 1 for the Justice. Might still be that, though, with Tuba's EMP.
You know, there's kind of the meme about Decay doesn't really care about what's going on in the back end. That was Show, man, where he didn't realize his team was getting blown up in the back. He knew he dropped the grab, but now Tuba. Early EMP, Tuba, or Fate, taken down immediately. Same with BQB. And Justice, I mean, their power in the neutral game right now, Jake, is insane. And a lot of it's Janu, and a lot of it's the pressure from Stitch and Decay. And it's just keeping the Mayhem in a very tough spot.
It's really well played by the Justice. I love that adjustment from Stitch to just play so far into his own spawn that he's not even a target. EMP, though, comes out late from Yaki, and Fate's starting to really turn up on this back point. Moira as well coming back to the fight. These are the perfect heroes you want in this scrappy situation. Going on Jin, he's desperately trying to survive. That's 2 kills from the Moira, setting up a third.
Fate's done enough. Fate kept the Mayhem in it, got Decay of all people off the map. But the tragedy here for the Mayhem, Jake, as good of a turnabout fight as that was, as heroic as that was from Fate, it's still not enough to seal the map. The Justice get one more attempt at it, and they have the Nano in reserve.
Yeah, it's not enough to seal the map, but you do have a 0 energy Zarya. So, I mean, yes, you have Nano to keep him alive, but Decay absolutely needs to get energized here. And BQB switched over to the Tracer. It's going to make that a little bit more difficult. Florida, they just need to target down this backline. Kill off Arc and Stitch. You find those, you're going to win this fight.
Well, early hack out here from Yaki. The Justice, I think they're slow playing this a little bit more. They know it's their time opportunity. Arc is down early. BQB found the way. Aim got out of it, gets Nano off on the Decay, but now there's no healing to back it up. The Justice just getting picked apart, left, right, and center. Decay, you're pretty good, but this should be mission impossible. Taken down. And the Mayhem, very scrappy here, Jake, pulled themselves back in the round 1.
What a heads-up play from BQB there. He totally understood his win condition in that fight. Absolutely not participating in the fight near point. Knows that his job is to kill Mercy. And getting it done solo, so high impact on Tracer because, you know, in this comp with the Roadhog and the Zarya, what makes those tanks so annoying is how strong they are when they get res. The fact that they're just right back to the fight at full strength. Heroes like Roadhog can be hard to kill once and almost impossible to take down a second time. So, really great work by BQB, just heading that off at the pass by cutting down Arc.
So the interesting thing here, I kind of want to rewind here and just think back to that fight for the Justice where they thought they had it in the bag. And Decay just walks forward, solo grabs the Moira as the team is dying behind him. You know, I just think, you know, that grab would have been a little bit useful for the next fight, Jake.
Yeah, or you could have used it on BQB so he doesn't get those pickoffs. But that's the nature of this chaotic style Justice are playing. You know, you don't have mobility. Somebody does need to be rushing in, attacking the enemy backline, or they're going to do whatever they want. So I see the reason for Decay's play. It's not, I would say, wrong, but it's just sometimes hard to make work. Yeah. Already, things going well for the Justice, but Mayhem with decent control of the map. That mistook could be costly. Big window for aggression.
Yeah, and the Mayhem know if they see the mishook, they move in. But the problem is the punish is still there, and Fate, Stitch is low-key just crushing tanks from the back. And Justice, early 2 pickoffs, and even Janu not landing the hooks. I mean, this should be a fight that the Justice win. And, you know, one thing you kind of talked about, the idea of energy economy here for Decay, where Decay is going to leave this with 40 energy. Not the most charged up, but problematic when you re-engage.
And look at Chris just being such a nuisance, delaying the point cap till all his teammates spawn. It's going to mean the recontest can come in a lot quicker because Lucio can just hit a fast rollout and be at the point very, very quickly here. So minimizing the losses here for the Mayhem, but Stitch 80% to Bob. I mean, come on, this guy's dominant. You've got to shut him down. BQB is not getting too much out of Reaper, at least he didn't in the last fight. We'll see if his TP can get him into the backlines this time.
Well, the Mayhem definitely want to strike back quickly. They did get round 1, so they have a bit of a buffer, but Janu opens up, gets the hook, but heavy focus fire on the Janu. Still the back out. Tuba gets focus fire down, doesn't have a chance to get the EMP out. Mayhem still at a full 6, but Stitch, again, the focus fire onto Fate, finds BQB. And the problem with the Justice right now, there's so many threats between Decay and Janu that Stitch is just getting tons of room to work from.
And they're just playing this so beautifully on Washington. Stitch just went into the enemy backline. He became the flanker. He realized the pressure's coming for me. I'll just keep rotating all the way into your spawn. And it works out perfectly because Justice win that very clean, minimal ultimate commitment because of those pickoffs that Stitch got. And now you're going up against Grab, EMP, Hohai, Nana. I mean, Bob is like your least valuable ultimate here for the Justice. So you have the other 5 ultimates, the important ones. Mayhem has nothing. This has to be a decisive fight win.
Look, Bob thinks he's important, that's what matters, but the EMP comes out, hits 5 on the Mayhem. Fate again finds himself immediately warped back to spawn. And the focus fire onto the front line, it's nuts. It's a main priority for Decay and Janu. And when you're focused on Decay and Janu, Stitch still does whatever he wants.
Yeah, BQB, I love the switch over to the Tracer. I wish he had made that sooner. Able to apply a little bit more pressure on the back line. Yes, you can't burn down the tanks as effectively, but I don't think that approach even works against the Justice. With Ingod on this Ana, he can so effectively counter Reaper's damage, and Nano Boost super annoying for a hero like Reaper to deal with, given that you lifesteal so much less off of the damage resistance. And once again, Florida, they don't have much to work with. Close to some support ultis, that could be the opener, but how do you survive this grab?
Well, we'll see. Decay right now. Optimal will go for just 1 or 2 if necessary. The Mayhem, though, they're running out of time. 94% for the Justice here. Fate goes in. Gets in a little bit of trouble early. Half HP. Yaki still waiting for the time to drop the EMP, but time is quickly running out. Yaki gets it back, drops the EMP immediately, but BQB's down early. Stitch just gets the easy flick. Oh, Gargoyle! Dynamite. On a journey right now. And he ate the grab. Decay, though, doesn't need the grab. Still takes down Fate.
Oh, Decay's looking like he wants another one. Because you can have that one. That's a charity grab. I'm coming for another. Decay, fully torqued, now hitting the back line. Going to farm up this mech really quick. And, oh, man, this guy's about to run away with the team fight. There's no threat left to stop him. BQB desperation Widowmaker here. Trying to find something, but Stitch isn't giving him any openings. And just gets cut down. Chris finds one. But how do you answer Decay? Look at him, 90% to his next grab of the team fight.
Gangnam Jin down immediately. The Mayhem are also low. Almost no possibility of bringing back this round. The Justice way too healthy. And guess what? Decay did build another grab before the round ends, but doesn't get to use it because they won.
Wow, I mean, just full court press from Mayhem, and it was just absolutely battered back, shut down. I think the only times Mayhem got the point control was when Justice just backs off, gives them the flip, and wins the team fight. You know, recap anyway, no problem. So Justice, despite the fact that this comp is weird, it is off the wall, it's really well done by them that they back their Ashe off and their Zarya off so far, making sure those players stay alive to the end of the team fight.
Well, this is where it's time for yet another good reminder where I have to ask any crunchers. Pringles Wavy and Cheez-It groups are giving you behind-the-scenes photos during today's matches. Just tweet at Overwatch League and hashtag CrunchTimeCam WAS or hashtag CrunchTimeCam FLA to receive a photo of your team in real time.
Yeah, so once again, Reaper versus Hog Zarya. I really would rather see BQB on the Tracer here, but they're going to open with Reaper, see if they're able to get a decisive engagement on this mid-fight. They really need mid-control.
The Mayhem are going a lot quicker now. I think they realize they can't let the Justice set the tempo and tone. You have to play fast against this team or they will find pickoffs. Limit the amount of time you give the John and Stitch, and that's what they needed. They take down Stitch early. They get rid of the silent problem in the back, and they just keep the momentum rolling.
Decay takes the pressure, stays alive. Janu finds BQB, so this could be slowly turning, but no, I think with Janu falling there, that should be the end of the team fight. Rez had to come in onto Aim God. But Decay is not scared here. He's just pushing forward, knows there's no Reaper threat, so he can continue to farm the grab, if not contesting really point control.
Decay is the highest performing player to not have an S key on his keyboard, I'm pretty sure at this point. Gangnam Jin, Cole here, and just going to be used to give the man a little bit of space. Still in first control, and the Justice, though, they're going to be coming back in a hurry, Jake.
Oh, BQB flanking. So effective to shut down that Ana because now you don't have to sustain for Jano, who's hacked up, can't really get any heals, can pop the self-heal, but that's his last survivability tool. Reaper, he finds one, but I mean, look at just the hurt trade and just coming in after him. Gargoyle just remaking with the bomb as well. Decay's getting a lot done this round, but it's not enough to actually get any control here.
He has built a grab, though. It's a pretty quick built grab, and Decay walking forward. I don't think there's going to be a whole lot of discretion. BQB out of the fight. And now the Justice again. Pressure back on over to the point. Decay, low HP, gets healed back up. Stitch working the outskirts again. And the pressure from the Justice is so strong that they might not even have to use grab here.
Yeah, Fate just gets absolutely destroyed, hacked in the Primal Rage. No real value out of that. Now it's just a delay game here for the Mayhem. They're running pretty dry on ultimates as they recontest in this fashion, so the retake could be tough. Again, discipline from the Justice. They win that fight, and they do it with a minimal commitment. Holding on to their critical tank ults, EMP, Nano, I mean, really the most valuable tools in the comp. They did it with the cheap ones, so going forward, this is still a very winnable round here for the Justice. Very winnable first map.
Yeah, and it's interesting, even though it's 1-1, it's felt like the Justice have set the tone, pace, and energy of the series here so far. It's still very winnable for the man. They're still at an edge in the round, but a lot's going to depend on Yaki landing the EMP. He's forced out early, though. as Tuba lands his EMP quickly. Chris responding to the beat. And Decay, 70 energy just about. Very good spot to be in and very scary for the Mayhem.
Yeah, overall it's a slightly positive trade here for Mayhem in the sense that they do force out the whole hog, which is a pretty valuable ultimate in this team comp. You still have Decay's grab to worry about. Not this time though. He's caught unawares, was not able to get his grab off, and this should be a very quick team fight. Justice are going to struggle to delay given the comp they're running.
It's a super important pickoff, but now they need to get on Stitch. You've dealt with Decay, but Stitch is still there. He takes down Chris, and he's the player that you can't ignore. He keeps getting away with it, Jake, because of how threatening the other players have just started. BQB, though, finally shuts it down. The Mayhem take control. And this should be a flip for the Mayhem. They've done enough.
Yeah, Remake Bomb comes in from Gargoyle, gets safely back into his suit, but BQB is not so lucky. Gets cut down, and with no Reaper, I think Justice can just walk right back in. Yaki slept, might be getting caught here. Yes, he is finished by Decay. Oh, and that's both DPS down, so you're really in a rough spot right now for the Mayhem. Do you want to coalesce to buy time here? It's a tough call.
I don't think you do in this situation, but it's so difficult because the Mayhem, you don't want to let the Justice right back into it with a one-fight margin.
Fate is so low.
Fate and Gargoyle, though, very, very low. DK drops the grab. Fate immediately out of it. And the Justice in control of the point once more, and we're heading to a final fight here in map 1. It's going the distance.
Well, I mean, Cole trades out for Grav and Whole Hog there, so it's not too bad in terms of the economy trades. Stitch finds himself in this very annoying high ground position. He's going to have full vision of the point. It's really going to be on Yaki and Fate to find an opening. And, oh, BQB slept. He can't get bursted here. That would surely be the end of the round. Okay, his team protects him. But Yaki needs 10% more EMP. How can he get it?
Well, the problem is it's going to be hard when you're hacked. Tuba takes the initiative, and Fate just gets erased. No chance to use the Primal. And here comes Decay. Electrified Zarya, walking right up the gut. And this is just the style the Justice play. They overpower the Mayhem here on map 1, and now the Mayhem hoping for a miracle, but I don't think that's happening. They're pushed out of the point, overtime ticks down, it's the Justice about to take map 1.
Yeah, what a beautiful defensive EMP from Tuba. He just counters the dive with it. He knows the Mayhem have to come to him. He doesn't force it in the enemy backline, just cuts down Fate, and you can't get the primer off, you just can't survive. Decay on 100 energy with the nano boost, that's a beautiful thing to behold, CP.
Yeah, and I think the thing that's really sticking out to me as we cast the series, as we see it go on, is that every player on the Justice is threatening, where I know the storyline is Decay, and rightfully so. He's been the new spark of life for the team, and why they've had a change in trajectory, but throughout a lot of this, you would see Decay and Janu making space as tanks in a way that is a little bit different than when you're running shield tanks, but so much so that Stitch, I feel like, just got to do whatever he wanted over the course of this game, and at times even when they did take down Stitch, it freed up Decay and Janu to do more, so I just don't know what the focus fire priority has to be here. It's tough. But you know what we do know? That for the Mayhem, they do have the mentality of champions. Let's hear a little bit about Yaki before we get into the next map.
저한테 챔피언이라는 것은 제가 여태까지 노력한 것에 대한 보상이 돈과 이제 명예라고 생각을 합니다. 막대한 돈과 막대한 명성. 그냥 뭐 제가 MVP 되고 신인 후보 따고 우승하고 돈 많이 버는 것 같은데.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
It's Puckett in the Spawn Room here with your reminder to get your exclusive inside look into the 2020 Overwatch League playoffs like never before. It's all available thanks to our friends at Cheez-Its Grooves and Pringles Wavy. Simply tweet at Overwatch League using one of these Crunch Time Cam hashtags to get instant, real-time photos of the two teams in action tweeted right back at you. And remember, keep tweeting throughout the match to get even more behind-the-scenes pics. We've got more fun and games from the Spawn Room coming up. It's the Overwatch League 2020 playoffs.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Cheez-It Grooves. Deep flavor, deep crunch. It's a mind crunch. And by TeamSpeak, the official voice supplier of the Overwatch League.
The Justice and Mayhem both fighting for their right to go to Grand Finals weekend later in the month. Both in the losers bracket. No more lives left to give. It is win or go home. And the Justice right now, Jake, very much making the case that they want to go all the way.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there has been a wake of carnage left behind this Washington Justice squad, and now the Mayhem looking like potentially just the next victim in line, still trying to play this Reaper Sombra comp, and just looking kind of futile. I mean, there were some good moments, there were some great opening dives from the Mayhem, but Justice are so quick to adjust. They're so quick to rotate their positions on players like Ashe and Zarya to make sure that whatever level of aggression the Mayhem are ready to put out, they're ready to dance back. They're ready to stay alive. Because in the end of the game, when it comes down to a long fight, the team that the Justice is running puts out about as much damage as you could possibly hope for in an Overwatch lineup. So you need to be winning these fights quickly if you're the Mayhem, and just surviving is winning for the Justice.
Yeah, and again, I just go back to this idea that the Justice are such a multi-threat team right now, where you saw the Mayhem just changing who they'd focus on, but the problem is that between the three major early pickoff threats of Janu, of Decay, of Stitch, when one would fall, the other two would carry the fight, and this has to be just a vexing nightmare from a strategic end, Jake. I mean, Jake, you're shot calling right now for the Mayhem. What in the world do you do?
You know, typically, in the past, I would have said I'd like to see this Tracer picked, mostly to focus down the enemy Mercy and Ashe, to give you that extra reach into the backline and less priority focus on the tanks, as a hero like Reaper offers. But I think it's pretty difficult when you see Aim God making the switch to the Ana from the Zenyatta. So when you have this Ana Mercy comp, very easy to peel off an enemy Tracer. The Tracer is going to need a lot of support to actually get a kill when the supports start healing each other. You basically need your Winston to be landing on top of that. You need the situation to be ideal. And as you said, ZP, it's never ideal going up against the Justice. They're so good at making you pay a price for anything you want to do on the map. You want to dive us, you're going to pay a backliner. You want to take space on the map, you're probably going to lose a DPS. So when things start falling apart like that, then the wheels really come off of the Mayhem's comp, whereas Justice, they've got a res. They've got a comp that can kind of function down any one of its members. So that flexibility ends up being dominant, and I'm really surprised to see this map pick out from Florida Mayhem. I think Nambani is actually a pretty decent map for this Hog Zarya style. A lot of close-range choke points that you can basically control the most relevant spot on the map playing Hog Zarya. And the Justice, they've looked great on this map before.
They might be putting their faith into the idea of map record, because the Mayhem have yet to lose this map all season long. Again, it's debatable how much that matters when the meta, of course, is very different. Teams are approaching in different ways. But, hey, if a map has good memories of we don't lose, that's kind of what you mean in the situation where you definitely don't want to go down 2-0 to kick off an elimination series.
And you want to talk about a change-up, Yaki is on Genji. Didn't think I would be saying that this playoffs, this patch, but Yaki's pulling it out. I think that in theory this makes sense, right? You're playing up against no shield tanks. You should be able to just farm out blades really, really quickly. And Garnon Jin doing the same with the Nano. Just rely on that Nano blade to be a secondary win condition, beyond your typical dive style. But this really puts a lot of pressure on Yaki. He has to find the way through the hooks, the whole hogs, the grabs.
Jonathan's going to be picking shurikens out of him for weeks. At least if Yaki has anything to say about it. And Decay just gets annihilated early on. The problem is, Resurrection should be there, although Decay is going to happen in time. No, Decay gets the long walk back. So the Mayhem start things off on a good note. About a minute going to be drained off the clock before the Justice get another attempt.
Yeah, the challenge is where do you send the Mercy? Do you have him pocket the Ashe, which I think you have to do to keep that fight at least decently fair, or do you support the high ground tanks? You can't do both at the same time. The Ashe needs to play a different position, so potential weakness for the Justice comp. Now they take the fight up mid as a 6-man, but once again, early pickoff goes the way of Florida.
Yeah, Stitch out of the fight early, and I think this Numbani first point is so good for the Mayhem with, they're very coordinated, they're very much about positional play. The Justice has been about sort of chaos in the bottle right now, and it's hard to do that in Numbani point A. You really do have to have a game plan here, Jake.
Yeah, I think the switch to the Genji is really paying off. There's not that Sombra you have the chance to hook or counter hack or break her TP. You have to make a play on this Genji. It's going so deep for that hook is Janu, and he's going to pay a lot for that. Nano forced onto Decay, but he doesn't want to fight a Nanoed Winston. That's really not the target you're looking for when you get this Nano on Zarya. You want to be finding kills, not just damage. Yaki as well stifles the res and heading straight to the back line. This might be a really savage cleanup here. Yaki, they don't even know he's here.
Janu's done it. He takes down Gargoyle, but here comes Yaki. The response! 2 cut down for the blade. Not something I thought I'd be saying today, but it works out. They even get Gargoyle back up, and well, I think this point is actually brilliant. The more I look at it here, Jake, is that the Mayhem have forced the Justice to do thinking. And right now, the Justice are not a team that likes thinking. They just like going forward.
And that use of the blade is so perfect because Garnanjin, he needed to nano his Winston for survivability purposes. So the fact that you can get a cleanup with blade, you absolutely take that every time. You would otherwise just be waiting for the next nano, and you're going up against Whole Hog anyway. So I love the ult usage from Florida. They've got exactly what they need, both tank ults to stall point. And for Justice, how do you open this up? You're just really hoping Stitch finds an opening pick.
Yeah, you're hoping that Stitch or Janu find something, but you don't have much time. The Mayhem are in such a good spot that they have immediate dive. They take down Aim God right away. Now, they've been able to punish Fate. Stitch gets a decent opening here so far. BQB, though, firing back. Aim God res back into the fray. And Decay finally builds Grav here. Minute left to go. And the Justice have gone on to the point, but look at how slow the Mayhem are playing this. They know they have time, Jake.
Yeah, Decay getting pressure, does get saved by his allies. Grav comes out. What does he find? That's a huge one. Gets the Valk and the Genji. Absolutely ideal Graviton. Decay starting to turn it, but this is a nano onto Fate. He's so hard to take down. They've got a lot of team play around him, but Decay, oh no, this is surely over. Decay with a nano on high energy. I've seen this one before.
Yeah, the problem against Justice is that even when you outsmart them for a while, which I think the man we're doing on point A, the raw strength of their players is eventually going to find an opportunity, and Decay sought the moment, got the Graviton, and point A is going to be the way of the Justice. And now the question is, do the Mayhem have a game plan for point B and point C, where point B in particular does get more chaotic and definitely plays to the Justice's strength?
Yeah, very conservative Whole Hog as well by Janu to secure first point means they're lacking a little bit of initiation. As you said, though, Stitch got far the better of that last fight, having his next Bob already online. Remember, those Bobs came down at the same time last time, so Stitch with a 40% farming lead, that's going to be big. Florida might not even be ready for it.
No, and Florida, I mean, they are close to the blade. They're not really close to the nano, so this might be an unassisted blade at best if they want to use it now. Fate already in a tough spot. Got hit with the bio, just barely got away. But because of Fate getting that low, look at all the space they're conceding.
Yeah, exactly. Well, you can reset here and get this nano online, which I really think is what Florida are playing for. You've got the power of Bob plus Nanoblade, and you only got one sleep dart on the side of the Justice, so that already puts the enemy in a really tough bind. You can't counter both. Oh, that sleep would have been really painful. Can't get it. Trying to find his Genji desperately, but he can't get the nano off.
There's not going to be a nano. And now Yaki, do you pull up the blade now? You probably don't want to, but the problem is point B very well could be gone by the time you get back. That's a flubbed initiation if I ever saw one for the Florida Mayhem. And they might not get another opportunity for this point.
Yeah, I like the idea from Florida to try to start the fight without Nanoblade, get some cooldowns out so that your eventual Nanoblade will actually be more successful. I think we could have seen a very different fight if Gangnam found that sleep dart onto the Decay. Could have just let that Zarya sleep and clean up her allies. But it's not going to happen this time. Florida, though, finds himself on third point. Not too much time bank to work through, and major ultimate economy lead. So this is looking like a great setup to get a full hold.
Well, they got the pick off on the Stitch. They get the res on cooldown. It's not a bad beginning, but still means they're going to want to invest into this fight. where you look towards a combination. The connection didn't happen before. This time it's happening. Yaki gets the nano, takes down Decay, Aim God, and these nano blades are basically going to be free, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, unless he gets grabbed or whole hogged away, it's so risky for Justice to try to commit to those fights. Because sometimes, even if you grab the Genji, you just grab him on top of your backline and he just still hits away, you know, trading kills and ultimately winning as a defender. So it's a nice little pick off, though, to force the res. Now you don't have any mistakes available on the side of the Florida Mayhem. And with everyone going high ground, I have to imagine Justice are going to win the fight up here. I don't think you can really contest this position with Winston Diva against Hog Zarya.
I mean, just the Graviton alone puts in such a tough spot, let alone the Hog backing it up. Justice can be a little bit sneaky coming in from left-hand side. Bob immediately heading over. And all
Really
this
nice
right now,
blob.
just a distraction, trying to give John more room for that first pick.
Yeah, it's all about timing here for Florida. They've waited out the Bob. It's going to be expiring, and perfect timing on that. Primal as well, trying to isolate people to the edge of the map, but it's Johnu's whole hog that's isolating both tanks, pushing them off. Desperately, they're trying to get back on, but it's not enough. Johnu with the hook as well. Oh my god, disgusting out-tanking right there from Johnu. The whole hog into the hook. Absolutely perfect performance, and I mean, that didn't even look like a fight.
No, because it wasn't. It was a slaughter involving a whole hog in the side of the map. This is exactly what happened there. Now the Graviton to seal the deal. They go, oh, we have to touch a payload. Well, Decay is the answer for that, as it turns out. Takes down Gargoyle, tanks the explosion. Okay, BQB. The burst from the side, and BQB might be trying to bring this back. I don't know if it's going to be enough, but he's opened the door. They still need the touch of point. Hammond back up and over. This would be insane if the Mayhem somehow held on. The tanks are back out, but everything behind them is gone, Jake, and still think the Justice have it.
It is starting to get a little chaotic. Garnunjin 99 to the nano, but he's just got no target. Nobody can touch the point, especially not against a whole hog. So I think it's ultimately just Johnu's play there, completely stifling the Primal and the Diva initiation with just a perfect whole hog, sending them off the map, sending them running for cover. I mean, it doesn't really get better than that on Roadhog. Johnu putting on a clinic right now.
All right, so the Mayhem, they have a pretty good hold back on point A. They're not really able to keep that same energy for point B or point C, but because you hold point A for a long time, it still drains a lot of clock off the map. It puts them in a decent spot as we head into the Mayhem offense. The problem is that, well, I think their defense was really good at causing just issues for the Justice on engagement. You know, the Justice, they're not going to have the same issues defending. You know, the Mayhem might have more intricate offensive game plans here, but you can channel the Justice brand of chaos on defense. It's not that big of a deal.
Yeah, I do think this comp is a little bit even more effective on defense than it is on offense. You know, for Justice, this Hog Zarya, they can start on high grounds. They don't need to like fight just to get in those positions. So positionally, the game's a lot simpler. However, I do think you're still having trouble going up against Yaki, not letting him farm the blade. And I mean, look at this whole hog. Like, these tanks just have no impact in the fight. What can they do? There's just no counter. You just get absolutely melted with a hook to follow it up. Wow, that's really painful. I think the key here for Florida is that Yaki needs to just farm blades incredibly quickly, you know, pop off with the nano blade before Justice has counters like grab and whole hog.
Yeah, and the Justice, they're going to be hanging back here, and they're going to have a lot more opportunities for Stitch to find early pickoffs. Johnu's going to be sneakier. The Mayhem have a really tough task ahead of them, especially if they're going to run the Genji here also on the attack.
Yeah, I mean, I think this comes down to faith in Yaki, which isn't a terrible thing. Every time there was a good nano blade, it always went in favor of the Florida Mayhem. A missed sleep, though, from Gangnam Jin. Stitch winning the fight on high ground, so this first attack already looks pretty over.
Yeah, I mean, there's a huge difference in the amount of room Stitch has on the defense versus the attack. I think it was really tough for him to find good spots when they're on the attack. On the defense, he just gets to stay in one area and let the targets come to him, which is important when the Justice are running, you know, this composition that doesn't have any classical engagers, right? So, I mean, the Mayhem, they have to find a way to get an early pickoff, Jake.
Yeah, I mean, I think Gangnam Jin's, he's doing the right thing, going for these sleep darts on the Roadhog, but so far he has not been able to connect that play. He's going to go again. This time he finds it, though. Roadhog is going to get that self-heal. Mayhem need to get this high ground control, but they need to do it cleanly. And look, they're losing so much HP right now.
The neutral. Oh, they're just getting crushed in the neutral. There's that many people low, you can't heal them all. And the Justice, it's a complete firing range when the Mayhem come up there. The Justice unload, they bring their HP down to half. And yeah, of course someone's going to fall off that hill.
And this is really what I was worried about when I was talking about map picks. I mean, how do you really deal with this on Numbani? I mean, I guess the answer is the Nano Blade. And to be fair, Yaki, he has met that conditional of getting the combo online before Decay and Janu. But you're still going to have to tango with the Nano Boost. And, you know, a player like AimGod, I think if he just puts that Nano on Yaki's first Nano Blade target, then the Blade might just be a total failure. And even if you have to Nano something like an Ashe or even a Mercy in a worst-case scenario, if the enemy Genji doesn't get dash resets, then the Blade is essentially neutered. So I'd say it's really all eyes on Yaki, right? He has to perform here, and it's not going to be easy.
Yeah, I mean, this is where, potentially the entire season just depends on one Nano Blade. We'll see if this one's a good one. Not a surprise where this Nano's going to go. Yaki going in on the chase. They're not using Nano yet. I mean, not even line of sight. Now heading back over. The Justice have a chance to engage at any moment here. The Mayhem are playing this a little bit slow. Nano, though, finally on the Yaki. Takes down AimGod. 6 on 5. Holding on to the Blade, and
patience from Yaki.
2
well
down
played.
already. He might just hold it.
Yeah, really well played. Couldn't really have gotten anything out of the Blade here. Gargoyle is still very low. Needs to get re-healed, but it seems that Florida have more players alive. Justice, the question is whether they'll soft reset. Yeah, it looks like they want this fight. They are setting up with Stitch pushing the flank. If he can get up to this high ground unnoticed, he can do a lot of work.
Has there been a grab deflection all year? That's a question for me right now. Decay setting up. Oh, drops
so
the grab.
perfect.
This one's not getting deflected. And Stitch is just there in the fall through an immediate assassination of both the Mercy and the Ashe. And such good setup for Stitch, but it's Decay who makes it happen.
That grab was, you can't ask for better than that. I mean, getting both backliners, free kills for your Ashe, essentially a long range. I mean, that'll do it. And that's the type of hold that can really just stop attackers in their tracks. You've got Blade and Self-Destruct. Good luck comboing those. Although, hey, that's a nice pick-off on the Stitch. I wonder if there's a res online or if Arc had to commit it in the last fight. Looks like there's not a res here, so that could be the pick that they were hoping for. A little
they gotta go.
Window of light in the darkness.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you have to seize the opportunity. Doesn't matter if you don't have a Nano for the Blade yet or not. First point in the bounce. Gargoyle already demeched. BQB in danger. If he falls, could be it. Healed back up. They lose Gargoyle. Gargoyle cannot get back into his mech. Now you have Fate on the point. He's just a sitting duck right now. BQB down. Fate out of it. Yaki though brings up the Blade. Looking to equalize 2 down already.
Oh, that
Has
hog
to
is
back
so
out
healthy.
a little bit. Johnny
still have Nano on AimGod.
because he wasn't finished off. And Stitch back into the point, and here's the Nano Hog. It's not over. The Justice are coming back in.
Oh, it is over, ZP. Johnner's got the Nano on point. Enemies low numbers. Yeah, you are winning this one. Just gonna melt down this Diva Mech with a point blank whole hog. Gets slept, but again, a clinic by Janu. Tank flexibility, absolutely making it work here. And I mean, wow. That's a statement win from the Justice. I mean, Mayhem are in big trouble. I can't emphasize that enough. You had the first map that you could have been prepared for. It was your map pick. You know, you had all the scouting footage. You got the second map. That's not only, it's the same story again. You're prepared for that. You've seen this. You know what the Justice are going to do, and it's beaten you now 2 times in a row. So for the Mayhem, I don't think they've been hiding strategies. I think they need to come up with something truly revolutionary here to change the pace of this series, because right now, Justice, they're just running away with it.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's going to happen. I mean, like I said, the intro, the Justice have one main strategy they're running. It's not been a shock to anyone that they're bringing out here again. The Mayhem had all the time to prepare for this. And look, their Numbani defense looked really good, was very close to getting a first point hold, but guess what? The pure chaos of the Justice got the first point hold. And I don't know. I mean, Mayhem, they are running out of options, and you know, this is where you kind of have to try something dramatic, I think. You know, I don't think it's usually ideal to try and fight mirror for mirror when you're losing, but, you know, the Mayhem, they lose one more map. They are out of it. They are not going to Korea for Grand Finals weekend, and, you know, it'd be a tough end for a otherwise resurgent run for the Florida Mayhem this year.
Yeah, this would certainly be a sad way for them to go out, but, I mean, it all looks like that's the way it's going to be. I mean, Justice, they are taking absolutely no prisoners. Decay taking nanos. And, I mean, just come on. When that guy's 100 energy, gets the nano, you just feel like, yeah, just reset Mayhem. Like, I mean, they're still going to commit to the fights because it's still winnable, but, I mean, Decay is just putting in work.
Well, this has been a crazy set of games here thus far. The Justice are looking better than ever, but this is where we get to remind you that All-Star Weekend, that's right, it's around the corner, and it wouldn't be All-Star Weekend without some cool new skins. Can't quite show you what they are yet, but let me tell you, you're gonna love them. But now, it's time for our Watch Point halftime show to tell you if Florida has any hope.
Ooh. Oh my. Wait.
Oh. Oh my. What? Oh. Whoa, wait, these are sick.
Oh, that's what I'm talking about.
Oh my god, that is actually so sick. No, that's actually the craziest skin I've ever seen.
I think these might be the best All-Star skins, actually.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by HyperX. Unleash your style, unleash your fury with HyperX Fury Memory. And by Coca-Cola, the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
All right, raise your hand if you've gotten every answer correct so far. Now put it down because you're a liar. This one, it's another round of Name That Map. Here we go, your first clue. It's a rusty gear. I should say lots of gears with snipers below it. This one's easy, it's Point A. It's got the name right there, Junkertown, the final answer. Big shout out to everyone who got it right in the chat the first time, and keep your answers coming every time you see me on screen. For now, let's get back to the crew with more Overwatch League playoffs.
Welcome to your game break presented by Pringles Wavy. My name is Frankie Ward. I've come back just for the second half of the show, and I've got Custer and Reinforce with me. Although, Custer, where's the cat?
The cat, I had to get locked out of the room. He was trying to make a surprise appearance, so I needed to get him out of here so we can talk about Overwatch.
Yeah, I feel like just knowing YouTube chat, I feel like there's quite a lot of people who probably prefer the cat. But let's actually talk about Overwatch, as you're saying, because Mayhem, they brought out the Sombra Reaper con that we expected, and they saw the map snatched under their noses by the Justice, who have a habit of stealing things from the competition. So Reinforce, just talk to me about why this didn't work for them on Ilias.
Yeah, I mean, it does make sense to pick Ilios if you're the Florida Mayhem, because Sombra Reaper, generally speaking, has a lot of close corners that you can actually engage around with. You get nice EMPs. Reaper gets a lot of value here in this kind of area, and it's harder to get these Roadhog flanks really going and get value from that as well. So it's a nice map pick from the Florida Mayhem, and I kind of like what they had going here for most of the time. The thing is, when you actually have to play against the composition that the Washington Justice are bringing with the Roadhog, with the Zarya, you have Stitch on Ashe, like, you can't really practice for that. Because keep in mind, what team in North America is playing Roadhog Zarya to the level that the Washington Justice currently are? So the Florida Mayhem, they probably had tons of success in practice because they're playing some of these teams and they're playing the Summer Reaper, everything's working as intended. But then you actually get into the server and you play the best team in, dare I say, the world at Roadhog Zarya. It's a completely different dynamic, and I think we're seeing so far this series how difficult of a task it is to actually play against this composition when you're playing against players that are just great on every individual role on this Justice team.
Yeah, and I think that sort of highlights a lot of the issues that the Washington Justice is posing to any team that they face in the playoffs. Nobody does it as good as them, and you can see the Florida Mayhem came in with an idea and came in with a strategy, and you saw it even more so in Numbani. They come out with the Yaki Genji, which we were worried about coming out again. We saw it once in Dorado, and you can see the idea behind it, right? It has a lot of flexibility, can maneuver, can help in the dive as well, right? Every Nano Blade got a ton of value, but the issue that they're having is in the neutral game, without ultimates, they're getting absolutely outplayed by everything on the Justice because they just can't close the distance. They can't get on top of these players without being punished consistently. And that's why, even though, you know, the Justice are losing a couple of fights very definitively, they're always coming back and winning more of the neutral fights. And that's how they won Ilios, and that's how they won Numbani. I'm worried for the Florida Mayhem coming in. I don't know the adjustments that they can make. Even like the little tweaks that they've been making, they need to have a major overhaul or find a way to deal with all of these threats that are coming from the Washington Justice.
And we did say when we saw Genji last time on Dorado last weekend, we didn't expect to see Yaki playing it again because that was when they were underestimating their opponent, and rightly so. But this is Justice, and they've shown that everyone underestimated them, and everyone was an idiot to do that. Even Shock, who beat the Justice, it was actually a really close run thing, and Shock had to reverse sweep that series. So, Custer, for Crunch Time presented by Pringles Wavy, you're going to talk about how Janu's hooked you in.
Yeah, he's hooked my heart, and he's made me believe in the Roadhog. Because this is something that we haven't really talked about with this meta and strategy that the Justice have been employing. Janu has been a silent force to be reckoned with, and the issue that a Roadhog faces and causes for the opposition is that you don't want to focus the Roadhog, because what that does is it enables the Zarya, it enables the Ashe on the other team. So you have to really ignore the Roadhog, and that allows him to do whatever he wants. And we've seen Janu be a constant thorn in the side of any team that they play against, and this match especially. You just see him walking around the backline, consistently getting hooks. He's getting high value out of his whole hogs as well. Look at this one here. It's just ridiculous what he's accomplishing because there's not enough people looking at him because they can't.
Yeah, specifically the whole hog ability. It's so hard to play around because you're playing this Winston and this Genji composition, and you're trying to dive in, you're trying to get close to your opponents, and you know that Janu has this whole hog available the entire time. Like, you plan for that, you know that. These players are good enough to be prepared for that, but it's so hard to play around the whole hog and try to make Janu waste that ability and have him not get any value from that. So you dive in, he uses whole hog, and you can see if yourself just pushes away Faith and Gargoyle, and it's so hard to play around. So Roadhog finding a ton of value so far in this matchup. Well, and also, the amount of puns, the amount of Roadhog puns you guys are just throwing out there. I'm gonna have to take a breather after this game break because I'm just fed up. I'm just fed up.
I love it. I love it. Welcome, Johnny.
Oh my goodness. I don't know why you're so upset with our whole hog puns. Is there an issue? Is there a traumatic pork-related incident in your background?
I was making a pun myself.
I got you.
Oh, were you?
There was a pun there. There was a pun there.
Was there?
Yeah, because you know how he heals? that's take a breather. So Johnny's done a good one. Now he explained it, so it's not good anymore, Johnny. So you have to come up with a new one. So
I feel like that was less of a pun and more of a reference. I just think you need to work on the delivery, Reinforce.
Yeah, I agree.
Just take that as a note for
If not
the
now, then
end
when?
of the show. All
We
right.
have an entire season behind us, and I can't still nail it.
Johnny,
You can nail other
It's-
things, Jonathan. Like, you're rocking the jumper today that someone else picked out for you. Okay, no substitutions going into our next map. And this could be the last map for the Florida Mayhem, because the loser of this match is out of the playoffs. They're out of Overwatch League 2020. And the winner will go on to play the Philadelphia Fusion, who are going to put up a very tough competition for whoever ends up facing them. And we're going to find out very soon who that's going to be, because we've got ZP and Jake taking us to Hanamura for the first time in the NA playoffs after this break.
he's gone. Goodbye, Johnny. I'll miss you.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Pringles Wavy. Big crunch, big flavor.
What's up, everybody? It's Puckett in the Spawn Room, and it's time to tell you about a new Instagram AR game you should be playing right now. It's called Race to the Future, and it features our very own Sideshow as he tries to avoid obstacles while riding a hoverboard. Check out the game on the Overwatch League Instagram page, and also celebrate the Overwatch League playoffs by heading to the Download Center on OverwatchLeague.com, where you can download your favorite team-themed wallpapers, backgrounds, banners, and icons. There's no better time to celebrate the league than right now. We got more of the Overwatch League 2020 playoffs coming up.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile. Switch today and rank up to America's largest 5G network, T-Mobile. And by State Farm. For auto, home, or renters insurance, like a good neighbor, State Farm is there.
The Justice continue running Hog Zarya, and they still look to be unstoppable. The Florida Mayhem, after an incredible season to get to this point, now find themselves one map away from elimination here in our loser bracket semifinals. ZP here with Jake, and Jake, what do you do to stop the Justice?
I don't know, ZP. They're just merciless at this point. I mean, going up 2-0 in the series, you've got such a long road to recovery for the Florida Mayhem. What I will say in their favor is that, if they can figure out an answer, then, the Justice don't seem to have, like, the most depth. They seem to be playing the same strat all the time. So if you can figure it out, then maybe you are set up for a comeback performance. Maybe you can bring this series back. But that's a big if of can you figure it out? Because, at the end of the day, when Janu is just playing out of his mind on Roadhog, hitting hooks constantly, Decay surviving to the end of the team fight so that he's always ready to take the nano boost and clutch for his allies, Stitch finding a ton of openers, like, everybody is doing their job, and they're doing it phenomenally well here for the side of the Justice. This is a comp that's very hard to play, and that missed executions can really punish you and really lead to you losing a ton of control of the map. But so far, Justice, they haven't made those mistakes. So if I'm Florida Mayhem's coaching staff here, I'm in a really rough spot. Like, how do you figure this out? Clearly, this is what you thought would beat the Hog Zarya coming into the match. Clearly, this is what you prepped. And also, clearly, it's not working.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that they had time to prepare, and now they're pretty much out of time to figure things out. They are going to be able to bring things here to Hanamura, which is their map choice. And, it's kind of funny. It brings us into our map times presented by Xfinity. And for the Mayhem, they have the 5th quickest time here on this map. They've also been victims of getting speed run on Hanamura as well. Same with the Justice. So, both teams at times having their moments on the map, but the Mayhem hope that they have a slightly better track record overall.
We can say it's a volatile map for sure for both teams, but another map pick that I'm finding myself questioning just a little bit. I mean, to be honest, maybe any 2CP map is going to be hard to deal with this Hog Zarya on. I think this might be one of the better game types for this comp because, Hanamura second point, for instance, is so much about controlling that forward high ground. When you're pushing as an attacker, you have to somehow evict the defenders. And heroes like Hog and Zarya, they might not be able to retake the high ground, but they are damn sure good at just holding it, just putting their bodies in that position and fighting to the death. There's not many initiations, many ways the team fight can go that are going to be favorable to a team pushing into that sort of setup. So, for the Florida Mayhem, this is the moment to adapt, to do something, but this is where I start to really worry because I don't see a way out for them, ZP. They have to figure something out that I'm not aware of. Like the comps I thought would work, they tried, they failed. So, I mean, what's next?
I mean, this composition has definitely surprised people across the league, commenting on the league and how effective it's been. I mean, we've had some commenters say, like, well, Hog isn't that good. You can make Hog fly and he'd still be able to be countered. And, well, I got news for you. I haven't been seeing Janu fly, but I haven't seen him dish out insane amounts of punishment to the Florida Mayhem. No flight required, and the Hog yet to be accounted for. And now, I don't believe what we're seeing from the Justice right now. I mean, yeah, it could be a thing, but they're on attack. We'll see. We'll see if they actually run a Reinhardt comp.
Yeah, I'm going to say Attack Torb is a certified troll. But
certified,
especially
100%
on this
troll.
map, yeah, running a Mercy. Why just boost my Torb instead of my Ashe? That's a good idea. But no, won't be that. Will be aim god on the Zen, though. That's an adjustment here. And going up against Yaki on Genji, this could be trouble. I mean, Zen can die pretty easy to a Genji, Winston, and Diva just jumping in, especially with something like a Dynamite you've got no answers to, really, besides the Zarya bubbles. So for Tuba, taking this Harmony Orb, he's carrying a lot of weight on his shoulders. He's got to really make work done.
Justice, oh, again, and again. It's just the hook connects. Now, Janu nearly gets punished for it. The Bionade forces him back, but that could have been a very deadly start here for the Mayhem. And, okay, another hook. Pulls in the Diva, and you can't be giving Janu these opportunities. Eventually, someone's going to fall.
And these hooks aren't too high impact just yet. That's a pretty high impact pick. Janu, cut down by the Bionade, wasn't ready for Gargnon Jin to come in on the flank in that way. So, nice timing. A lot of progress on point for the Justice. You got to carry, ZP.
Yeah, well, right now, I was also frozen for me. We're doing that thing where it's like, no, it's all fine, but we're back.
Okay, we are back, yep.
Okay, well, we're back.
Now it's Nano on the Decay. That's a good place to come back.
100 energy. Stitch goes down, but with Decay's around 100 energy, no one is safe.
Oh,
Justice
no.
at 5. Gargoyle off the map.
He boops Tuba off as well, though. That's funny.
You see Fate back over here on the point. The problem is Justin already gotten 2 ticks on the point. Pressure's about to be heading back in. Graviton's ready. The Mayhem are keeping this together with duct tape and staples at the moment. It's not looking great. It might be about to break apart as Decay takes down Fate.
Yeah, at a certain point, you just reach this moment where Decay and Janu are both full HP, full resources, and just camping the relevant position on the map, in this case point. How do you recontest into that? I think that grab wasn't even necessary from Decay. He really secures that first point. Would have loved to have that for the snowball, but they do have a lot of options when it comes into pushing that second point. Aim God's Transcendence really buys them a lot here of leeway, at least coming up against Yaki's Blade, because Garnanjin, he doesn't have the nano combo.
Well, the Justice, 5 minutes left is a lot of time for Hanamura. I think potentially enough to get on that fast map times we were looking at before, but we'll see how quick this one is. If you're the man, just 1 goal to start out with. Don't get hooked by Janu. Oh, there it is.
Okay, it's funny that you would say that.
Well, they get the res off, but this gives Justice so much room to work with. BQB's already down. Decay's gotten to the side he wants to be on, and it just does not get any better for the Mayhem.
Oh, and Tuba's, he's not finding this kill, but he's doing what he needs to do, keeping the Ana in spawn, making sure there's no heals being put out by that hero. And Garnanjin, he needs to have some sort of impact in this fight because, I mean, oh no, this is just over, ZP. They're about to cap with more than 4 minutes in the time bank.
Oh, this is disgusting for all the right reasons. Stitch goes, I don't care about your nano. It doesn't really matter to me. Oh, the dominance on the points. Mayhem struggling to delay, but they can't delay for long. 4 minutes and 2 seconds. I'm actually wondering how that stacks up on the map time chart.
What that Tracer voice line is. It's like nothing can stop me. Nothing. Well, he only said nothing, and then he instantly died. Discord headshot damage boost. So pretty nice.
They were within 10 seconds. I think I just heard they needed 4 minutes and 5 seconds to be on the top speed list. They were 4:02, so not quite, but you know, I don't think that's where you want to be right now if you're Florida. Nothing about the situation makes you feel good.
I mean, and to be honest, looking at this map, what I was talking about in the pregame is I'm worried about Florida Mayhem's attacking into this comp. I didn't think that the comp would be that great on offense, and they absolutely make it work. I think at this point, Florida are crumbling a little bit, frankly. Their combos not so precise at this moment. The pressure seems to be just overwhelming, and here we see Stitch in this replay. These cleanup frags are so critical in this situation. Staying alive for so long. I think this is the moment. No one's going to stop me. That's what the voice line is. She only gets through the first half of it, though. That didn't last long.
No one's going to stop me until they do.
Yeah.
Turns out.
Tracer is just wrong. Wrong.
A reminder of what's at stake here. The Mayhem are fighting to stay alive. They lose Hanamura here and now. They are out of the playoffs, and the Justice continue their run of eviscerating the losers bracket with this Hog Zarya composition. If the Mayhem are going to continue on, if they're going to have a chance at going to Korea later in the month, they must rally now.
Yeah, this is the moment, or else Justice are going to be punching their ticket to go up against Fusion for a chance to go to Korea for that Grand Finals weekend. So Florida, you have to kick it into high gear right now, and that's the start you're looking for. Pick on the Stitch. Can they snowball it?
Yeah, now they have to go forward, and they take down
Great moves by
They make
BQB.
pay for the resurrection. A rarity thus far. We'll see if the Justice have any response. Janu gets Gargoyle, and again, the tank line of Decay and Janu just clears the Mayhem back.
I mean, BQB did everything he could there, but now he's slept, and the Roadhogs coming hunting up the stairs for him both. AimGod actually had such high impact in that fight. He was the one who really pressured Fate down and got that Winston pick off on the back of the hack from Tuba. So really nice work, and I mean, BQB has to be feeling it right there. Like, man, I just opened up with 2 picks, and we still get nothing. We still get no progress, no map control. That's just a mentally really rough situation to be in.
Yeah, and the Mayhem now down a minute. Reminder that their season is on the line. If they can't get through point A, if they get held on point A again like they did on the Bonnie, it's over. They get the early sleep. The dive in here from Fade. Garnanjin in the back. Justice, though, they just bend back a little bit. They've yet to really be wounded. The Nano's over onto Fade as Fade is looking for anything and finds Decay. That's a good start, but it's meaningless if the res comes in. Fade has to go the other way, and is Decay going to get brought back up?
Oh, no.
He comes in, and the Justice, led by Janu, over and in.
Yeah, Nano whole hog in the close range is not a fight you want against a player like Jonu. Look at him just hunting methodically, crossing through the map, one shot after another. Says, yeah, sleep me all day, buddy. Mayan will take you out. Send him forth. Champion into battle.
We've talked so much about Decay, but you really have to start talking about Jonu. Again, Jonu takes that BQB, where you can't even mention him without someone on the Florida Mayhem dropping.
I mean, Jonu, he's making us talk about it. We got no choice. He's fragging. God mode. And this is what you need out of Roadhog. This comp puts so much pressure on your hog. You need to get these picks. If he fails, if he's dying and getting cut off, he's just feeding constantly. But Jonu, despite taking a few naps on the job here and there, still getting it done, and just such a presence on this high ground. You see Yaki constantly looking in that direction, does not want to get hooked.
Definitely not. A minute 30 left for the Mayhem. Their season still on the line. Stitch feeling a little bit burned in the corner, has to go for the health pack. And this is Jonu. This is the threat. He misses the hook. And the Mayhem, they have a sigh of relief for just a moment. Aim got out of the fight. Yaki's blade about to be put away is not one here just yet. Arc, though, off the map. And this is a chance for the Mayhem.
Arc was trying to back away from that blade, but Stitch didn't peek him in time. He couldn't get back on the map, and that might be the error that gets Florida Mayhem back into this map. 1 minute on the clock, but now they're in great position to cap. It's not over yet, though. Stitch still fighting, but a lack of heals means it's going to be so hard. I mean, look at the Mayhem, though. They are still scared. Like, they are still not posturing aggressively despite being in total control here.
Yeah, the Justice, they don't even go for it. I mean, a lot of times the team will go for a Hail Mary thing, but they didn't even want to feed the ult charge. They just say, we're out on time, we'll defend on B.
So that's the downside of Hog Zarya, right? These heroes are incredibly slow, like the slowest tanks to get back to the fight. So recontests are going to be a fraught concept funding this comp. I think this is wise from Justice. Don't overplay your hand. Second point is really, I think, going to be the toughest test for the Florida Mayhem. I think first should have been easier here. So snowballing seems almost out of the question. And I mean, with the time bank Justice have, you need to cap quickly for Florida Mayhem. They are in a really rough bind right now.
Mayhem, I mean, they need something here, some sort of early pickoff, some sort of moment of someone not dying to Jonu in the first 2 seconds.
5-man dynamite from Stitch, everybody on fire.
And Jonu got the first kill in 2 seconds. So this is, he just can't be stopped. It's
Jonu's coming for more. I don't think Jonu, hold W, bro. Don't let him retreat. No retreat, no surrender for these guys. Okay, Jonu, a little bit of respect.
And he's laughing.
Unnecessary respect, Jonu. You're better than them. Just get in there. Look at him. Look how hungry he is. He just wants to trade spam at long range when they have 6 ults. That's an alpha male play right there. Alpha male.
I don't think you can debate it. He's just there. Just chunks fate. Finds the hook. Makes it look easy.
And now it's a cross to the flank from the Florida Mayhem. This is nice usage of their comp. Every hero except Ana can make this play, but interesting to see if Gangnam can get out of this safely. He's got no support whatsoever if the fight breaks down. If he can get in on high ground safely, this could work out really nicely for Mayhem. And oh no, instantly hooked. The Primal already heavily mitigated.
Yeah, Fate doesn't feel good about hanging, but they'll take down Jonu. There's hope. Forget about Decay. You've dealt with the hog. At least for now. He hasn't been res back up. The Mayhem trying to seize the opportunity. A moment where they cannot get hooked. Gangnam Jin in the back. Nano boost still at the ready. The Mayhem will not get a better opportunity than this. Nano onto Yaki, 2% away from Blade, looking for Stitch. One slice takes it down. But Jonu's back. The whole hog series taking down Fate. And Decay back over onto the point. It's not enough for the Mayhem with only a minute 30 left to go.
This is the worst game of Clue ever played because it's always Decay with the Nano boost on the control point. Every single time. Just this guy, when we just reach that point in the team fight, it's like, wrap it up, Florida. Send it back to spawn. You're not killing this guy. And
but he's really good at convincing that he's not the person, that he's not the one you should vote off. I don't know how. It's a silver tongue. Oh boy. Well, only a minute left for the Florida Mayhem, and let's not forget, Jake, if they don't finish with at least 1 second left remaining, they're fighting for the draw, so really all is on the line of this next fight for the Mayhem, the season hanging in the balance.
Yeah, you need to get this cap decisively, and look at Tuba just really wanting to farm up that last bit of ultimate. An EMP here is exactly what you need. BQB's early Bob is probably their best chance to put a lot of pressure on point. With 1 tick remaining, that'll be a little bit hard to deal with for the Washington Justice. They don't have a Bob to counter.
The Mayhem, they move forward in a fight they must win. Jonu, under pressure, gets slept. They know where he is. They know he can't hook for a moment. BQB coming in off the flank. The bomb! That is gratuitous! You take care of the threat. Now don't let him get back up. The Mayhem Now on to the point, 6 on 5, at least for now. BQB fighting Stitch in the back, doesn't do it cleanly, goes back over, takes down Decay. The Mayhem in their best opportunity yet. Time still on the clock, 12 seconds left to go. They're
Stitch almost
there.
has Bob.
The Justice looking to delay. They need to delay for 9 more seconds.
Stitch got Bob out. Is it on point? Bob's on point. He's
3 seconds left
to
to go. 2 time. 1. Is it going to be overtime? It is. Tragedy. They don't finish with time remaining, and now the Justice get 4 minutes to take point A to close it out.
That was so close. Stitch died about half a second after getting that Bob off. That was full desperation mode, just spamming out hip fires, mashing your Q key, get the Bob out there, get out there, do something. And they just barely get it done, stalling to overtime, as you said, ZP. Probably the map here, probably the series and the season for the Florida Mayhem hanging in the balance at this point.
Yeah, and this is never where you want to be. I mean, you know, we talk to you at times about player mentality because of your pro player career and getting into it, but you know, you're the man in this case. You have to hold for 4 minutes on point A to keep your season alive. How do you keep it together?
Mentally, this is the toughest test that any player could face because your odds of success are so low, and the road ahead of you looks so long from this point to coming back in this series. It's hard not to be defeatist. It's hard not to have that slip into your mentality, especially because the Justice, they're not changing anything, right? They're just going to keep running at you with this comp, and now, despite being picked off all map long, somehow you have to go 4 minutes with absolute perfection, no mistakes. It feels almost too much to ask here. I think Justice are going to get this map and going to end the Florida Mayhem season with a whimper and not with a bang.
All right, Florida, if you have what it takes to be champions, if you have what it takes to hold that trophy at the end of the season, this is where champions are made. And okay, well, Tuba down immediately. That's a good start. Gonna need a little bit more, as Justice still have a lot of time to set this up.
This Widow from Stitch is just so scary. BQB, it's so hard for him to get value because if he just dies to the Widow one time, we could see this fight just falling apart. Chris is electing to play more with that backline, giving the res availability to their Ashe. And Stitch is well going to take the mirror action on Ashe, be a little more conservative here. I like this.
They got away from hook number 1, and BQB punishes Stitch right after. It's how the Mayhem have to play if they're going to have any hope of forcing the drop, but Stitch got loose after the res, found BQB. The Mayhem down 1 here so far. Fate, he can't die here. Fate is so low in the Discord orb, just praying anyone touches him with some healing. He's back in it though, Jake, and the Mayhem still survive.
Mayhem, though, they still don't have ultimates to work with, so this next fight still very winnable for the Justice. These Ashes are battling for the opening kill. Defender has a natural advantage here, but if that ever gets flipped with some quick shots on attack, it's really going to shake things up. A res is very painful to get off in this situation.
Another miss Janu. He's looking for it. The Mayhem are sticking close together. No one's falling here just yet. They punish Janu. I don't think that position's super resable either. If they just keep the pressure on the point, the Mayhem might have burned yet another minute off the clock as BQB punishes Tuba again. Everyone is playing well on the Mayhem right now, Jake, and it's what they have to do to somehow keep the series going.
They're starting to believe, ZP. This is the moment you really start to believe. Next fight should be really dominant for Florida. They've got the Nano Blade available. Decay, though, he's got the grab, so the risk is when you're committing with these ultimates, you cannot get caught by grab because it will just counter them and then some. Blade comes in. Deflect doesn't want to go for the backline, just cleans up the divers. I love this decision.
Finds Tuba, does not want to fight Decay here. He knew he would have lost right up. He goes for a little bit of support. That was so smart from Yaki.
Yeah, and just completely ignores the backline there, doesn't risk his life, which he would have done going in for those kills. Instead, gets to clean up on the divers, protects his allies, knows that just keeping his whole team alive is the win condition here. And the clock has gotten pretty low at this point, ZP. Florida in great control of their ultimates. I talked about composure. I said it would be difficult. I said it would be nigh impossible, but they're proving me wrong. They are very much still in this.
This is so close right now. 1 minute 30 left to go. The Mayhem have gotten mostly through the tunnel. 2 more fights left to go. 2 more fights to dodge Janu. And no, Janu takes on Gangnam Jin to start things out. And it's just Bob for good measure. The Justice have their opening. Looking to seal this away. Get the matchup against the Fusion. Decay now on the point. Remember, they can only give up 33%. The man must go back over. Janu gets another pick. And the Justice just about there. Chris blown the smithereens. A valiant last stand for the Florida Mayhem. The Graviton coming in from Decay, and that's going to be it. The Justice defeat the Mayhem. They'll be going on to fight the Fusion. But for the Mayhem, they did have a final last stand, Jake. It just was not good enough.
Yeah, I would say I was wrong. It wasn't with a whimper. That was a very respectable final hold. You know, getting 3 minutes on point A in that desperate one-tick scenario shows incredible mental fortitude from the side of the Mayhem. Props to them for fighting so hard and having such an impressive season in the context of franchise history. I think this team has a lot of greatness ahead of them, but it won't be this season. It will be the Washington Justice going on to face Philadelphia Fusion in that lower bracket finals match tomorrow. And that one is going to be one to watch because nobody thought the Justice could get this far. People, every step of the way, people said, you know, even me, I doubted them. Okay, well, they won't be able to beat the next team in lineup. And they just did, and it just looks more and more dominant. They're accelerating, despite the fact that other teams get all this review tape, can see what they do. Justice continuing to adapt, continuing to innovate on this same style. They look unstoppable. Momentum is absolutely crazy right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I think part of that the storyline was beginning as like, oh, look, Decay, he's unstoppable. He has a nano. He's doing everything. And, you know, it's a tape you see over and over again. But today, that wasn't even the main story, I feel like. The main story was Janu just opening up every team fight, just finding his rhythm on Hog in a way that most people have not. And this Washington team is an immensely scary threat that I don't think any team in the league really wants to go up against. And, you know, this is the penalty the Fusion have to face now for losing against the Shock earlier today. You know, the Shock, they don't have to worry about Washington, at least for now, whereas the Fusion, their season depends on being able to beat this Washington team.
And I think that's a fraught concept no matter how dominant you are, right? Remember, you know, they took Shock to Game 5, you know, back earlier in the playoffs to be in the lower bracket. So incredible stuff from the Washington Justice, looking like a real threat even against the top teams.
Now, player of the match, sometimes it's a hard thing to say. I don't think it was hard at all here. So the player of the match presented by Xfinity, of course, it has to be Janu, where Janu, what a beast. This entire way through, Jake, just anytime you think he was going to get a pickoff, he found it and more.
Yeah, just incredible performance from the Roadhog. It's such a skill-dependent hero in this composition. Your Roadhog missing a hook often is the window that causes you to lose the team fight because that really is the #1 threat that your team is fielding. So you need that player to be confident. You need them to be incredibly consistent and strong. And that's exactly what Janu delivered, not only with the fragging plays, but also the positional consistency. You know, he has to be in the right spot because he has no mobility. So he has to be there preemptively. And that's what he did time and time again. Great combination work with Decay. But, I mean, some of those plays in this series, like whole hogging the enemies off the map on Nimbani, like the clutch on that Nimbani defense. Just really incredible work from Janu on the Roadhog. You know, we learned to love this player for his diva and his bombs, but I think his hog is pretty amazing as well.
Yeah, and what more can you say? This is now a multi-threat Washington Justice team. Definitely, I think, the biggest story of the postseason here so far, where other teams have been in, you know, kind of their predicted outcomes, but the Justice have defied all expectations, and now they're one match away from going to the grand finals weekend, but it's a tough opponent ahead of them, as you see here on the bracket. It's been a path of carnage for the Justice, but truly there would be just chaos and destruction left in their wake, and a lot of angry fans up there in Philly should they get past the Fusion tomorrow.
Yeah, I think there's going to be so much bated breath when that match comes up because it's anybody's guess how it's going to break down. I think a lot of people, myself included, were just proved wrong about this meta by the Washington Justice, a team that just forces it all day long. You know, I heard from Nero on Twitter that, oh, a lot of teams, well, if you switch to this counter, then the Zarya will switch to Wrecking Ball, and, you know, they've still got the answers. Maybe that's true, but for Decay, I mean, he hasn't even been pushed to that point of having to switch off the comp to this point, right? Like, they're still consistent. They're still forcing it absolutely fearlessly. So what that means for the rest of playoffs, I think, is just chaos. Is like you can't predict these matchups because the teams themselves can't predict them.
Yeah, and if you're the Fusion, I think the Fusion coaches in general, it's going to be a long night of preparing, I think, where you have to really respect this Hog Zarya comp. You cannot write it off as a meme at this point. You can't go, oh, it's just a rank strategy. It's not going to work. No, it's legitimate. Washington has been upsetting the favorite team in every matchup we've seen here so far. You can't think they're going to let up. Fusion should be afraid. But now, to get insight into the man himself, he who hooks them all, we got Danny with Janu.
Jake and ZP, thank you very much. Yes, I am here with Janu from Washington Justice, our player of the match. Janu, congratulations on the win. How are you feeling right now? 자, 일단 자누 선수 오늘 경기 이기신 거 너무나도 축하드리고요. 지금 소감 한 말씀 해주세요. 어떠신가요, 지금 기분?
네, 저희가 일단은 정규 시즌 때 많이 부진했었는데 그래도 이번에 메타가 바뀌면서 저희가 이 메타에 저희가 가장 잘할 수 있는 조합을 지금 찾아서 지금 좋은 성적 보여줄 수 있어가지고 되게 기분 좋아요.
I am definitely feeling great. I know that our team, Washington Justice, hasn't been performing well during the regular season, but thanks to the meta and thanks to all the teammates and all the hard work, I'm really happy that we won, and I'm also happy that we're performing very well right now in the playoffs. My first question is actually about that. Now, I did hear, like you said, that Justice has more playoff wins than in the regular season. So, how do you explain this incredible run you guys are having currently in the playoffs? 제 첫 번째 질문이 방금 이제 짜누 선수가 말씀하신 거와 흡사한데 아무래도 이제 정규 시즌보다 지금 플로업에서 너무나도 좋은 모습을 보여주고 있으시기 때문에 짜누 선수가 보시기에 좀 지금 플로업에서 이렇게 잘할 수 있는 이유가 있다면 뭘까요? 뭐 메타 말고 뭐 다른 것도 있을까요?
일단은 저희가 시즌 중간에 그 코치님도 새로 들어오면서 코치님이 저희를 잘 이끌어 주셨고 거기다가 저희가 끊임없이 그냥 계속 이게 이 메타에 대해서 연구하고 노력을 많이 해서 그랬다 생각하고 있어요.
Definitely, I think the reason is that middle of the regular season, we added a new coach. A new coach came into our team, so that helped a lot. And we also put in a lot of effort and time into studying the meta and putting a lot of practice into the meta and into the game. So I think that's why we were successful. Moving on to the second question. You guys are regarded as one of the best tank duos currently in the playoffs right now. Specifically between you and the K. How did that tank chemistry come about? How did that chemistry come to fruition? 두 번째 질문은 일단 지금 프로업에서 짜누 선수와 DK 선수의 그 탱 듀오가 지금 굉장히 지금 제가 봤을 때 되게 엄청나다고 생각을 하거든요. 그리고 또 보기에도 굉장히 즐겁고 이 탱 듀오의 조합 또 이렇게 좀 어떻게 잘할 수 있는 비결이 있다면 어떻게 해서 이렇게 잘 조화가 이루어졌나요?
제가 생각했을 땐 이번에 호그 버프목이 좀 컸고 그리고 제가 옛날에 프로 데뷔하기 전에 호그를 많이 했었기도 했고요. 거기다가 이제 DK 선수 같은 경우는 이제 3-3 메타에서 자리아를 되게 잘했었고 그 전에도 자리아를 되게 잘했던 딜러였기 때문에 그거를 생각해서 이제 저희가 조합을 잘 짜온 것 같아요.
Alright, one of the biggest reason is that Hog recent buff to Hog, Roadhog was definitely one of the key factors. And also, before I became pro, I actually put in a lot of time and I've actually played a lot of Roadhog, so that helped a lot. As for Decay, he's been a very good Zarya player ever since the 3-3 meta and even before that. So all of that combined together is what made us into a really good tank duo in the playoffs. Okay. Let's talk a little bit more about your Roadhog. I feel like a lot of teams are having difficulties in trying to, sort of fighting against you and your Roadhog. What is it about your Roadhog that makes it so difficult for other teams to handle? 방금 짜누 선수가 말씀하신 이제 로드 호그에 대해서 좀 더 얘기를 하고 싶은데요. 제가 봤을 때는 지금 많은 팀들이 짜누 선수의 호그를 대처하거나 좀 상대하기를 좀 되게 까다로워하고 좀 힘들어하는 것 같아요. 짜누 선수 개인적으로 보셨을 때 좀 자기의 호그에 좀 다른 점이 있다면?
네, 솔직히 근데 다른 점이 있다기보다는 그냥 그 상황에 맞춰서 이제 중요한 영웅을 끌어야 되는 게 있거든요. 그거를 제가 그나마 좀 이제 좀 다른 걸 뽑자면은 그때 상황 맞춰서 누굴 끌어야 되는 그 상황 판단? 그게 좀 다른 것 같아요.
Honestly, I don't think there's much difference. It really boils down to as a Hog player, deciding which enemy hero you have to pull in with the hook and to get the kill. So I think one of the reasons why teams are having difficult time facing against my Roadhog is because I sort of know which hero to pull in and to get the pick first. All right, cool. Thank you. Last question for you, Jianu. Tomorrow, you guys will be facing off against Philadelphia Fusion, the #1 seeded team in North America. Sort of like, I think you guys had a really good run right now. You guys seem unstoppable, but I feel like going against the Philadelphia Fusion will be like the final test, going up against the boss battle. Any predictions on how the match is going to go tomorrow? 자, 이제 내일 굉장히 중요한 경기가 있죠. 내일 이기면 이제 파이널로 가시게 될 텐데, 필라델피아 퓨전 지금 북미 지역에서 1위 시드로 있는 팀이고, 또 어떻게 보면 지금 워싱턴 팀이 정말 잘하고 있지만 어떻게 보면 제가 봤을 때는 좀 마지막 시험이라고 생각을 해요. 짜누 선수가 보셨을 때 내일 경기 좀 어떻게 흘러갈 것 같나요?
일단은 제가 생각하기로는 퓨전은 다양한 조합을 되게 골고루 잘하기 때문에 아마 여러 조합을 뭔가 쓸 것 같은데, 이제 거기서 이제 저희 조합을 상대로 이제 어떻게 잘 대처하는지, 그게 가장 중요할 것 같은데, 아마 잘 대처하면은 퓨전이 이길 것 같고, 이제 저희 조합을 잘 대처하지 못하면 저희가 이길 것 같아요.
Okay. So I know that Fusion is a really strong team and they use a lot of diverse compositions. So I feel like for tomorrow's match, Fusion are going to use a lot of different compositions, and the winner will be decided on if Philadelphia Fusion will win if they could counter what our team, Washington Justice, comes out with. If they can't sort of adjust to what we have, then probably we will win. One more. Let me follow up with one more question. If you could, do you feel like you could win against the Philadelphia Fusion? Are you confident enough to say that right now? 짜누 선수 그러면은 지금 뭐 방금 말씀하셨다시피 뭐 이기면 뭐 대처를 잘 하면은 필퓨가 이기고 대처를 못하면은 뭐 워싱턴이 이긴다라고 얘기를 했는데, 짜누 선수는 좀 어느 정도 자신감이 있으신가요? 필퓨를 이길 수 있다는 자신감?
개인적으로는 조금 자신감이 있기는 한데, 그래도 이제 막상 이제 대회 가면은 또 이제 그게 또 달라질 수 있기 때문에 대회에서 이제 가장 집중 열심히 해서 최선을 다할 거예요.
Okay, 알겠습니다. So Janu says he does have a little bit of confidence, but it really depends on how the game flows tomorrow. He has to really go into the match to really see if they could pull it off. Janu feels that the key deciding factor for winning the match will be really focusing on the match itself. All right, Janu, that is it for me and you. Janu, thank you so much for your time. 이 시간과 또 인터뷰해 주셔서 너무너무 감사합니다, Janu 선수. And good luck tomorrow, okay? 내일 화이팅 하시고요.
네, 감사합니다.
네, 감사합니다. Alright guys, thank you so much. That is it for me today. Don't go anywhere though. We have Watchpoint post show coming right up after the break.